Hello and well met. Hello and well met. This is Laren with the Fantasy Grounds Academy. They're going to be taking a look at the 5e rule set, and we're going to take a look at books and campaigns. So this will be sort of like reference manuals as we know them before. Now they've changed the format, so if you go to the books section on the right-hand side, and you click that button there, it's going to show all the books that you have loaded in your modules library, provided that they have a campaign book or a reference manual built into them. So that's basically what's showing over here is the reference manuals for all of these different modules that I have loaded. So when you want to make your own, you click on campaign up here instead of the reference manual builder, and you basically use this as your template or your tool to create content. So I'm making a Dwarven kind of one-shot. It's basically a 5e adventure for like levels 4 to 5, and it's for 5 to 6 players. It's kind of an interesting adventure. I mean, it's not too cliche, but it is something that's probably similar to what you've heard before. But it is called The Vault of the Fallen Pride. And essentially, this Dwarven clan got involved too deeply with trying to transmute iron into gold. So it's kind of got that classic thing about, you know, the alchemy and such, or turning a base metal into like gold, and it kind of gets into that. And it's basically a big folly that this clan, the Goldbeards, is what they call themselves. They had tried to use alchemy to change it, and they don't know this, but they were seeded by a different faction, and it kind of leave it up in the air for the GM to decide if it's Mind Flayers or Dwergar or perhaps the Drows, one of the Underdark races, or it could be something else. I mean, it could be a wizard. But nonetheless, they come across this, a few hundred years before, they come across this alchemy formula, and they've been chasing this thing, and they end up destroying themselves, essentially. But what I'm going to be doing is copying and pasting the content that I've written with Claude, which is another form of AI tool. So what I'm going to do is hit copy here in Claude, and it should be on the upper left corner of the screen there. So if you guys are watching, that's what I'm copying from. And this is what assisted me and helped me write this particular section for the adventure, so that I could share this with you guys and you guys can look at this. But I'm going to start a new chapter, and then this is going to be the Fallen Pride thing, and then from there we'll create a new page, basically. So the page, I'm going to create a text block in this case, but you have options. You can use a dual text block. You can use a header block, which I'd probably use that first. And then you have a left and right oriented image, so you can embed it and have text on one side or the other. So let me grab a text block. So I'll put that up here. And then this title is going to be the main title up here and up here. So the Vault of Fallen Pride. And then this is going to be, I guess, section 1, I guess you can call it. So section 1, Vault of the Fallen Pride. So basically, we're laying this out so that when you go to run this adventure, it's all organized. That's kind of what I'm trying to do now. And taking each section and just kind of adding that stuff in here. So what I want to do is reformat the text that's coming from the source, which is the Claude. So I want to take and highlight or make this kind of a section here, and then make this bold. And all I'm doing is just kind of coming through and adding kind of like, I guess you could call it like separation. And what I would probably do here is make a new chapter and then put chapter 1 in there. So I'll take this text and cut this and put this into the next chapter. So new subchapter, this is chapter 1. And then a new page. So I'll go back to this page, and I'm going to cut this out. So what I might do here is later on insert some artwork, and this would be kind of like your preamble. So the introduction is: deep within the heart of the Iron Peak Mountains lies an abandoned dwarven vault, once the pride of Clan Goldbeard. Its sealed doors have kept its secrets hidden for 2 centuries, but now the time has come for its tragic tale to be unearthed. As the characters delve into the vault's depths, they'll uncover a story of ambition, hubris, and manipulation that led to the downfall of an entire clan. So they kind of went down a bad path. So 200 years ago, Clan Goldbeard was renowned throughout the dwarven kingdoms of their mastery of metallurgy and alchemy, led by the visionary Thrain Goldbeard. The clan began to research the mythical process of transmuting iron into gold. What started as scholarly curiosity soon grew into an all-consuming obsession. So they kind of went nuts, kind of took it to the extreme. Unknown to the clan, their pursuit was insidiously planted by an external force seeking to undermine dwarven society. Whether it was the mechanizations of the Dwergar, the subtle manipulations of the Drow, or the psychic influence of mind flayers remains a mystery to be uncovered. So I kind of left that up in the air for the GM to decide. This kind of like a future story hook kind of thing. I didn't want to kind of shoehorn it into one basket. I kind of wanted to leave that part open. So that's kind of important if you're writing something, and even though it's a one-shot, you might want to use it to keep continuing. So you want to leave little spots where it would kind of make sense and be lore-friendly and not just jumping all over the place, or, oh, all of a sudden you warp over here. It doesn't make sense. So as the clan poured more resources into their doomed project, they ignored warnings from the priests of Moradin and the dissenting clan members. The Goldbeard's stubborn pride and the promise of unlimited wealth blinded them to the dangers that lay ahead. The characters are hired by Dagna Ironheart, a scholar of Dwarven history, to retrieve the ancient scrolls of Dwarven history from the abandoned Goldbeard vault. Dagna believes these scrolls contain valuable historical information, unaware of their true nature and the dangers they pose. So this is basically like the alchemical research that they're going to be looking for, but they don't know it at first. So this is basically the setup for that. And then we go to chapter 1, and it starts getting into, you know, the actual adventure. So there's a read aloud section here, and typically in Fantasy Grounds, I'm going to highlight the text, and then I'm going to use it as my dialogue, because this is the read aloud section for chapter 1 when you start the adventure. So what I want to do is put this in here, and then I'm going to hit, I think it's Control 3. Yeah. So Control 3. Now, if you wanted this all to be in one chapter, you could do that, and then if you wanted some separation, like a paragraph, you hit Shift and Enter, and you can put a space in between it. But I decided to do it in 2 groups, which is fine. And when you click on this, it'll send it over here into the chat area as narration. So this is the GM, or perhaps however you want to say it, or maybe it's a spirit or something. But if you hit Alt-Tab or Control-Tab, it'll insert this little dot here, and I'm just going to type GM. So again, I'm coming down into this area and hitting right where the first letter is, and hit Control-Tab, GM, and there we go. So now when you click on this, now it's going to give you the narration, just like if you were the GM saying it, or whoever you wanted to say it. So then I added a section here for sensory details, because I think these get passed up quite a bit. I don't think it's absolutely necessary, but it's nice to have these in case you want to throw these in. So these are other details about the information regarding the entryway. So what we're going to do is we'll take and add some of these in as needed. So I didn't necessarily want to make this too wordy, but I do have extra sensory area. So here, Chapter 1, the Sealed Gates. As the characters approach the vault entrance, it says read or paraphrase the following. And that's why I broke it up into 2 sections, because it's basically up to you how much you want to read. But it says, as you approach the vault entrance, the air grows noticeably cooler. Before you looms a massive cliff face of dark granite, its surface marked by centuries of wind and rain. Set into the rock, a pair of colossal doors stands defiant against time. These dwarven-made portals are a masterpiece of metalwork, their surface etched with intricate geometric patterns and bas relief depicting scenes of dwarves at forge and anvil. So it's kind of gives you a it gives you an opening. And then the next section says traces of verdigris creep along the edges, a testament to the passage of time. So it's kind of like patina. Hey. The doors depict scenes of dwarven craftsmanship in relief, like miners delving deep, smiths at their forges, and alchemists poring over bubbling crucibles. A tarnished plaque, barely legible, reads, Vault of Clan Goldbeard, Mastery over Metal. So scorched marks mar the door's inner edges, hinting at some past calamity. So what we did here with the sensory details is, if someone says, do I smell anything, then you have a faint, eerie whistle as air moves through unseen cracks in the rock face. So if they want to listen, you give them that. If they want to use their sense of smell, you could say a musty, metallic odor with undertones of damp stone. And then you have touch. So the doors feel unnaturally cold to the touch, with a slight vibration that suggests dormant magic. So those are just extra details that you can use if you need to embellish on what's already there. So this gives you more of the visual, and then you have all the other stuff too in case. Because not every time when you come to an area do you necessarily have light or sight. So it's good to have these extra sensory details, especially in like an opening area like this. It's like an opening scene. So the features, this is going to describe what is going on with the door. So a lot of people want to mess around with the doors. Sometimes you don't have anything for it, but this one actually does. So the doors are sealed shut, requiring a DC-17 athletics check to force it open, or a DC-15 dexterity check using thieves' tools or picks to open the lock. So that's your options. A successful DC-12 intelligence or investigation check of the scorch marks reveals that it may suggest that a gas had once tried to escape the vault. So that's where the marred surface came, or the marred edges. Let's see what else we got here. Characters proficient in history can make a DC-14 intelligence or history check to recall rumors about Clan Goldbeard's mysterious disappearance. So these are all the different things that you can ascertain from just that very beginning. And this gives the GM a lot of options, because a lot of ventures, I noticed they don't have a lot of this stuff. They're probably saving room and print count and all that stuff, but when you're making your own, you don't have to be quite as compact. So here's the lore for the GM. And then you can disseminate how much you want to your group. So local legends speak of the doors creation by master craftsman Borin Ironfist, who imbued them with protective runes. It's said that in Clan Goldbeard's prime, the doors would open at the touch of any clan member, recognizing their bloodline. So now there's an encounter that I'll have to set up. So here's an encounter. So I'll make that bold. And then it's going to be a stone golem guardian. And it says when the doors are open or tampered with, the stone golem activates. It emerges from a concealed alcove beside the doors. So now you have a stat block that you have to enter into Fantasy Grounds. And I have it in such a way that this will automatically, or not automatically, but this will parse in the Fantasy Grounds. So I'm going to take the text and use this text to create the stat block. Now I've already went and pre-did all this, so I mean this is structured in a way that Fantasy Grounds could recognize and 5th edition rule set can handle. So we'll see if it works. So if I go to NPCs, I'm going to make a new group here. So anytime you make a new data entry for a new group, always create your own group if possible. And then I'm just going to call this, this is called a Vault of Fallen Pride. So that's what this is. And anything I make in this is going to have this particular header. Because that way I can differentiate it, and when I unload all the extra stuff that I have loaded right now, this will stand out and it will be its own separate group. So I can go ahead and go into the NPC stat block import tool. Now this is not common through all rule sets. Some have their own tools and such, but this is the 5e rule set. This particular thing here is unique to this rule set. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Control V as in Victor. And then right click and clean up the text if there is any cleanup. Then I go ahead and put the stone golem over here for just like a header so it looks nicer. And I might put a picture back here. We'll see. But this is all the stat block information. So I want to see if it's going to parse correctly, because this is basically how I want this to roll out. And then this tactics thing shouldn't go on the main page. It should go in here, which is the lore part. So for this creature. So it's the lore for the creature. So I'll just go ahead and put bold there, and then I'll clean this text up as necessary. All right. So this little space right here is going to be where I'm going to put a link for an image of the stone golem. So that's why that's there. And then I'm going to take this part out. Now all I have is the stat block information. So let's see what happens. So we import. Yeah, it looks right. So this is basically the stat block, and it looks like it was done right. Yep. Pretty tough encounter. The only concession is it's been reduced. It was 178. but for the scaling of the party and such, it's been scaled back. But it doesn't pursue the players beyond the point where you're adventuring. So it says the golem fights to prevent entry, but doesn't pursue beyond the entrance chamber. It prioritizes targets attempting to enter the vault and uses its slow ability on spellcasters or agile-looking characters. So it has an ability to slow people down, and it just kind of protects the doorway. It doesn't pursue them throughout the dungeon, although that'd be interesting, but this big colossal stone golem thing chasing you around the whole time wouldn't be very fun to run. So when you have something like this, when you're ready, you can put a link here. So what I'm going to do is take all this information and delete it, because I already have it inside of the stat block. And then what I'll do is I'll just insert a link, because this is going to be where I'm going to put that. So I believe that is Control 4? No, Control 5. Oops. So this is a blank link, and I'll know to come back and link something there. So that's why I inserted that, because later on I'm going to link the NPC to this particular section. And normally what I would do is take all the NPCs and build them all, and then do all the treasure, and then do all the, but I'm just kind of showing you one section of what I'm doing here. And then here's a treasure, so this kind of details what's in the treasure. And then there's a DM note here that essentially says, this encounter serves as a strong opening challenge, emphasizing the vault's defenses and the advanced craftsmanship of Clan Goldbeard. Adjust the golem's hit points if necessary to balance the encounter for your party. Well, it's already been balanced once, but if you have less people or more, you can fluctuate that a little if you need to. But that's kind of what this is saying. And then this thing just kind of details the treasure. And it says if the characters defeat or bypass the golem, they can proceed into the vault proper. The entrance corridor is lined with niches that once held glowing crystals, now dark with time and lifeless. And then I'll take this treasure and make a parcel out of it. So again, that's going to be another link. So I'll just do Control 5, and then when I get to it, I can make the parcel for it. The thing about it is when you add more details, you have to build the stuff. So this has a custom item, so I'm going to have to build it. So if you are not using, traditional content and you got to build a bunch of custom content, it's going to take a bit. So for instance, this thing here, it has a finely crafted dwarven beard comb worth 25 gold. So I'd have to create that item. So this is something that I'm going to have to build. So that's kind of the thing you get into if you add too much detail, is you're going to be spending a lot of time building assets. So you could just stick with the 20 silver and just be good with it. That's easier to do. But if you got a bunch of custom content, but you want the immersion to be there, you're going to have to build all that stuff. And there is no quick way to do that for items. So items, I would make a new group, make this comb thing, put the value on it, put the description on it, make an item stat block. The stat block is behind the web page. Yeah, probably. Sorry about that. Yeah, let me take a look at that stat block. Here, I'll put it in a better spot so you can see it. Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying now. Yep, so this is the stat block here, and this is how it turned out. Turned out pretty good. The thing about it is I'm going to have to go in and do all the artwork all that stuff. So I probably would start with that first, and then make all the monsters and make everything at once. So I'm not switching back and forth, back and forth. But this is the type of work that you'll get into when you start building your own content. This is only chapter 1. This has got like 5-6 sections. So even though it's a one-shot, there's still quite a bit of work here. Got about 5 or 6 NPCs. A couple of them are hazards. And then there's some artwork. And then probably, a trap. Basically those are NPCs. And then a couple more parcels. And then a table, I think. So it's not a slam dunk. You got to kind of put some effort into it. So this is completely from scratch, kind of. So this would take a lot longer. But if you're going to edit a story that's already created, this doesn't take very long. It's just when you're starting from nothing, when you have absolutely nothing made, no artwork, no tables, no nothing. Generative AI tools help. And that's all I'm trying to show here. And tomorrow, if you're interested, I'm going to be running a class for AI prompting. It's basically going to be kind of like a workshop where we'll kind of do some of the same things I'm doing here, but we'll do it live. And what we'll do is we'll let people kind of, ask for something, and I'll show them probably the better or the more choice words they might want to use for that. So we'll take a look at Claude 3, and we'll look at ChatGPT and maybe Midjourney, depending on how many people show up and how much time I got. But tomorrow afternoon for Founders Day weekend, that's what I'm going to be doing is running a seminar tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. So if you're interested in that, come on into our Discord. That's on the 27th on Saturday, July of 2024. So happy Founders Day weekend, everyone. And we're celebrating our 7th anniversary. And I hope that you guys can join us. And we still have a couple events, and we have some games and such. I'm running a game Sunday, and we have a Dragonlance game Saturday, and nobody signed up for those. That's so crazy. So I think it's a lot to do with people are either in games already, or after COVID, everyone's kind of went back to thanks, Bane. Everyone's kind of went back to either face-to-face or they're not online as much. So the engagement has dropped off definitely for like a year or two. All right, guys, I'm gonna go have dinner and take it easy for a while. I'm just getting over a really nasty cold. If it wasn't already running a game tomorrow, I'd love to have. Yeah, no doubt. See, that's the thing about doing these on weekends is that when you run classes and events on weekends, most people are playing. So, yeah, I hope so too, Bane. I was really sick. Like, it's really weird when I get a cold. It usually starts in my nose and my throat, but this time it was in my lungs first, and then it went to my sinuses. So I don't know what the heck's going on, but it started off like allergies, and now it's like a full-blown upper respiratory infection. So it's getting better, though, I think. And I stopped whining about it and, getting some rest and trying to deal with it. Stay positive. So anyways, folks.
Yeah, there's no point whining about it when you got Dr. Mom.
Yeah, no doubt. So take care, everyone. Have a good weekend. We'll see you around, and hopefully we'll get more people and see that you guys start using fantasy rooms. Take care. Bye-bye.